What's up, everybody? This is Max Cavalera from Soulfly, and you listen to The Dan Chen Show. Stay brutal!
So I am joined by metal royalty, the legend that is Mr. Max Cavalera. How's things over there in Arizona, Max?
Everything hot.
Yeah?
Good and hot.
That's what we like. That's what we like. It must be a scorcher right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the peak of the summer. You know, it's I don't know the translation to I think it's close to 40 degrees.
Really? Yeah, that's the kind of maths that I understand. 40 degrees. I don't understand when these Americans do this like 102.
Yeah, 100. It's about 106.
Wow.
108. But it's good, man. You know, I'm used to now. Like I live here 30 years now, and a lot of time, most of the time, I'm touring anyway.
Of course.
Summer, you know,
of course.
So I'm actually going to South America in a week. So I get to go to. It's winter in South America, so that's cool. I get to change the weather pace. But no, man, everything good. Very excited for the record to drop. You know, of course, it's always the right before the record drops. That's always the hardest time because it's all ready, it's all done, and you're just waiting. You know, it's like a waiting game.
Of course. I fully understand that. And that's what you're here today to talk about. It's Soulfly and a few other things thrown in, of course. And you're releasing, as you said, your 12th studio album, Totem, with Soulfly on August the 5th. How excited are you? I mean, you say it's a tentative wait thing you got going on now. And you must be used to that with the amount of albums you brought out. But how is that? And with the whole couple of years we've had with the pandemic, how excited are you to get new material out?
I'm very excited. I mean, it's been 4 years since the last Soulfly record. And so, you know, a lot has happened in those 4 years. You know, I got involved with many different projects. Killer Be Killed, we released an album. I did Go Ahead and Die with my older son. Yeah. But yeah, I worked really kind of like nonstop on Totem in this last 4 years, little by little, you know, in different phases, which I think is cool to have that 4 year gap between the last Soulfly record and this one. Is actually a good thing. Made the record be better. I believe that for some reason, the time between the records, I think Totem was done the right way. I took the time to do it right. I didn't hurry it. In fact, I think nobody knew I was making the record. Like the label didn't know. You know, it was like being on a deserted island and doing the things without nobody bothering you. You know, like very, very, very cool. Very, in a way, like we're doing this. Nobody knows. Nobody. Not that nobody cares, but nobody is even aware of it. So
does that take the pressure off?
It takes some of it. Yeah, it takes some of it. I mean, Totem still have his share of struggles in it, and because it was created during the pandemic, and it's one of the most different records I made in terms of I didn't have a whole band there. You know, I worked with my son Zion for a whole year on the riffs, and then I got together with Arthur, and then we work on the song structures. And Arthur is really good, very knowledgeable of metal, and you know, kind of a wizard on the production. And so me and him, we formed this real bond on the studio, and we really went after. And to me, side A of Totem is one of the most savage things I managed to put on tape in a long time, probably even going back to Sepultura days. Yeah. I think side A of Totem. In fact, I think when we go tour, I have to play side A entirely first, and then play other stuff like some of the other classics. But that side A, those 5 songs, the way they hit each and the way they were written, they belong with each other. Yeah, they're kind of like short and sweet, 2 minutes and a half. Everything you wanted on a death thrash song is there. You know, the old school vibe, the spirit is there, the violence is there, the anger is there, the hooks is there. It's incredibly, I think, well made. The grooves are there. It's cool. Absolutely. So, and then side B is a bit more experimental. I went off again.
But we love that about you. You know,
Thank you.
that's what you're about. And tell me about the making of the album, because obviously you brought in Arthur Rizk. You know, was it a fun album to make? I mean, I know that he said to you, and to quote, I don't want to do just another Soulfly record. I want to do the best Soulfly record. So in your eyes, did he get his wish?
I believe so. It's really powerful stuff. I mean, we capture, he has a way of capturing spirits, which is more important than the quality of the sound. It's the actually organic feel of the record, you know. So to me, that's what speaks louder on Totem. In fact, I think it's very similar to what he captured on Power Trip's Nightmare Logic that he did in 2017. I was completely blown away by this record. Like, I said, what kind of witchery did you do? How did you do this? Like, it's impossible. It's not, my brain could not comprehend how a record was created that had such an old school feeling. It was coming out in 2017. So I was like the perfect candidate for that kind of experiment, to try to do something similar to that. And I think, you know, especially side A of Totem is totally a homage, a throwback to the old times. Is very, very heavily influenced by that era itself. In many of the songs and riffs and all that, the vocals and all the effects in the vocals, all have old school feeling all over.
Of course.
And then side B was where like let's experiment a little bit. So the Soulfly 12 is a bit pure, kind of like Sisters of Mercy, like gothic
vibe. Yeah, I think
rock,
so. Yeah.
You know?
So what are the themes of the album, Max? You know, what's the vibe? I mean, I've read that it's a celebration of spiritual nature, and the album is about all the joy and the fun and the anger in metal. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So to me, I think, and I went in Totem without a name. I didn't have a name. So, and I started writing the songs, and a lot of the songs were actually going towards that spirituality and nature. Like Superstition was about Superstition Mountains here in Arizona. And, we have the song Ancestors was about colonization and brutalization of Indian, you know, native land. And, you know, we had the Ecstasy of Gold. It was about man's greedy for gold and all that. So a lot of it was going towards this nature worship kind of record, which I think is cool. It's almost like a bit like a black metal idea, actually. Like you see a lot of that in black metal records, and I thought this is kind of cool. In fact, when I found the name Totem, the original name was Totem Obscurum. That was much more black metal sounding name. You know, I end up just dropping the Obscurum and just call it Totem. When I found the name, that's when I kind of like really clicked with me. What this record is about, and it's really, to me, a bit like trying to telling people, listen, computer stuff is great, phones are great, technology is great. You can spend time with it. It's cool, but sometimes you got to go out and experience nature, man. You got to go out and be connected to nature, because that's a big part of us as human beings. We have to connect with forests, with deserts, with oceans, whatever nature part of the world you're in. There's always nature around. And that's kind of like what I wanted to hopefully get the point across with this record. Celebration of nature almost as a higher force, as a god. You know, nature is one of the gods, you know. So that was kind of cool. And I love the album cover. I think it was beautiful.
Cool. I was going to say, that's a cool album cover, and it speaks for itself.
Yeah, it was really well created, really captured the spirit. It's kind of the old school feeling of album cover, with the design that you can spend, especially on vinyl, you get to spend time with it. Study it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of went there, man. And I think now I like the name more and more and more as time passes, because I subconscious, I think metal and totems are very connected. Like, I think when metalheads wear shirts, that's their totem they're wearing in their shirt, you know.
Yes, true.
Or the band backdrop when they're doing a concert, that's their totem. And of course, for natives, it's a bit deeper than that. It's like their totem connection with their ancestors and all that. But yeah, I just thought it was a very metal name, very connected to metal because of that connection with T-shirts and the way we perceive metal, you know, in general. So yeah, I'm more and more. I didn't like the name first. I was not sold on it. It was like a bit like one of those kind of like, really, maybe, I don't know. I gotta sit with this for a little bit, you know. But little by little, you and that happens with records sometimes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can believe it.
First, and later on, you fall in love, and it's a bit similar to Chaos AD. I did not really like the name. It was going to be called Propaganda.
Right. Yeah.
And then last minute, I had this, I don't know, kind of brainstorm and real connected to Misfits, Earth AD.
Yeah.
Choosing Chaos AD, you know, and now it's a you know, like a classic name, you know,
classic.
But I didn't really like it at first. It was a bit like, really, I'm taking that from Misfits, and I don't know. I don't know if I really like it, but I like it now. You know?
Yeah,
as time passes, we
all like it. We all like that. Now, Soulfly as a band, you know, it's like has a revolving door of members. Was that always the intention? Was it 25 years now, Max? You know, would you have liked to have had a solid, consistent band? I mean, I suppose it helps to bring other vibes and elements to it when there's a bigger melting pot of brains around it. But what was the original intention?
Right. So from the beginning, I wanted to do something different. Like I already experienced the 4-band guy kind of formation. That kind of comes from school days. That's what Sepultura was, like a little gang, you know.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I don't know, I had my share of. There's a lot of great things that comes from that, but there's also a lot of headaches, a lot of turmoil, and so I wanted to do something different. And I think in many ways, a lot of stuff I did with Soulfly, I did it on purpose to try to be as different from Sepultura as possible. The name Soulfly is as different from Sepultura as can be. And then, of course, the idea that the member change was actually organic. It was not forced by me. It just kind of happened. The guitar player that originally recorded couldn't stay with us. He went back to Brazil. So right away, I was like looking for guys already to play on the first record. And that kind of always... And then when I got people in the school, I realized whenever somebody new comes in, there's new fresh blood. There's an injection of energy and power and new blood. Yeah. And excites everything, makes everything new again. And a lot of the records were created like that. I mean, one of the records that I think a lot of people like, Prophecy, you know. I lost all 3 guys from the original Soulfly lineup, which was from mainly the first 3 records. And it was by myself again, standing alone again, like, what the hell I do now, you know? And then I regrouped and got 3 other guys, created Prophecy. And that was cool. It made me realize this is cool. This is actually a new way of looking at a band formation. Absolutely. That is maybe a little bit unorthodox, and maybe, I don't know, for the fan, I don't know how the fan state of mind is having different people all the time. But to me, as far as a musician, is exciting, man.
Yeah.
And especially, even like Totem is a perfect example of that. To me, what we did on the solos on Totem sounds fresh, exciting, new. It doesn't sound like the last Soulfly records. It has a new vibe to it. Yeah, has a new magic to it. So that feels really cool.
Well, I was going to say, if you can't find your own members, you just make them, don't you? Because obviously, working with your son Zion, you know, I've spoken to Phil Campbell about this. I've spoken to Peter Tagdren from Pain about this. What's it like playing with your offspring? Does the father in you come out when, you know, he does something wrong or something that you may question when you're out on the road, or is it just not like that? There must have been a moment.
You're tempted to do stuff like if you don't play this riff right, you're going on timeout, you know, or I will not give you your allowance today.
Yeah. Was there any moments like that? I mean, come on, there must have been some like father-son experiences on the road or in the studio where you've looked at each other and there's been something, you know.
Listen, man, it's so cool. I think it's an old dream when they were born. I dream of this, right? Like I hope one day they grow up and they be good enough they can play with me and we can jam or we can go on tour. And I mean, I remember them, it's little with the little earmuffs.
Yeah, the side of the stage,
slipping on guitar cases with Ozzy in the background singing and stuff like that. That's like it's priceless, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they were born in this lifestyle. You know, they were actually molded.
Yeah,
I made an analogy the other day, referring to the way they were brought up, that a bit similar to some of those MMA Russian fighters that the father groomed them from the birth to fight MMA, and some of them even like fight bears and stuff, like really rough stuff. But I think that's cool. That's a cool analogy. It's similar, So from the beginning, I was always there, giving them tips, telling them this and that, and then eventually they got good at music enough to play with me, and now it's a dream come true kind of story,
At what age did that happen? When did you start like jamming? Was it like literally from like growing up, or was there an actual moment? Right now, son, we're going to start playing some music together. What was the situation?
Yeah, so it was a bit different from both of them. Zion was always drumming from young age on his chest.
Yeah, tribal, mate, tribal.
Yeah, it's going like that, and it was like I remember one time we met. We played with Sabbath, and we met Bill Ward. And Bill Ward's wife saw Zion doing that, and she's like, "Oh, Bill does that all the time," And it was like one of those cool moments. Like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." That's an exciting thing to know. And he got to sit down behind Bill Ward, which was like an amazing experience. I told him, like, you don't understand how amazing this is.
Yeah,
this is an incredible experience that you're witnessing right now. And of course, he gave Zion his bandana and stuff. But I think like there's something about blood, playing with blood, and because I did that with my brother my whole life,
of course,
right? We from the beginning I was, and we have a different kind of brotherhood than a lot of other people. Some people hate their brothers or are completely different. The one brother likes cartoons and video games. And the other brother is a priest or a doctor, and it's like they don't connect at all.
Yeah.
And me and Igor were not like that. We were very connected. We like a lot of the same stuff. We like a lot of the same music. So it was just natural that we played together. And I noticed that something about the blood, playing with blood like that was different than jamming with other musicians. Even today, when I play with other people in the band, always when I play with Zion and with my brother, it's a bit different.
Yeah,
it's more connected somehow because we're blood connected, But it's really cool and really fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think I just finished a tour with my brother in America.
I know. I was going to say that. Celebrating the early Sepultura albums, which is incredible. What made you do that? What was the story behind that?
Just the joy of fun of those records. We have to celebrate those records. It'll be a waste.
Yeah.
Play that stuff, man. And I feel
it's my childhood right there, mate. That's my childhood right there.
Right, a lot of people's, man. I mean, and you put me on that part as well, because that is so much part of my life that I think it'll be wrong for me to deny that or exclude myself from it. Like, why? It was such a big part of my life. I should embrace it,
of course,
rather than deny it. So that's what we did. We embraced it. And so we did, these tours, and there was so much fun. So it's kind of cool. Like I'm a super blessed musician. I get to have one foot in the past, playing old stuff.
Yeah.
and one foot in the future doing new stuff, man. It's like best of both worlds.
I've got to ask you, when you left Sepultura, did you assume that they would just disband, or did you assume that they would carry on?
I think judging by their personalities, yeah, I think they would carry on.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, knowing that you're leaving this brotherhood, behind?
Right. It's really mixed emotion, especially because, me and Igor being there in the very, very beginning, and nobody that is in the band was there, not even Paolo was there in the real beginning, So it's something that is really feels a bit kind of like really personal and sacred that you were there in the very in the very beginning, and now you're not. But then again, at the same time, it's like one of those things in life that just happens, and you got to move on with other things, So yeah, I don't regret. I think it's like any other thing. You just it ran its course. One of those things, though, I said this. I feel it's frustrated to me. It's some of the fans don't understand sometimes, and it's really easy to blame people for it. And I think a lot of people end up blaming my wife, Gloria. Like, they always go, yeah, well, she broke up the band. And the truth is, we grow apart. We start hating each other, man. And it happened to the Beatles and happened to many other bands, Pantera. It's just how it is. We just didn't find the joy in playing with each other anymore, and it was time to move on. So it's like it's a cheap shot to blame like her. Yeah, let's just blame her.
Course. Of course,
she's got to be the reason why that happened. It's like no, not at all. It's we are the reason. I rather they blame me than her or somebody else. Blame me for Sepultura splitting up. I would much rather prefer that.
Yeah. Now, you're very open, it seems, to a lot of music styles, but tell me one style of music that you absolutely despise. There's got to be one. There's got to be one, Max.
Well, yeah, some of this really, really, really plastic pop stuff.
Fast pop, that is just like comes and goes really quick.
Yeah. And then, like, if I hear a good, and I like a lot of old stuff, like especially like new wave stuff. I really enjoy a lot of that stuff, like Old Cure and Sisters of Mercy and all that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now. I don't like that at all. It's some newer hip hop too. I can't stand it. It's like really like I don't connect with it at all. Like I listen to it, I'm like, I don't find nothing interesting. And a little bit of jazz. Jazz is kind of like that. I'm not into jazz at all.
Not even with a glass of wine. Not even chilling out on a Saturday night glass of wine.
I respect the fusion. I respect the idea, but it's not for me, man. I don't know. I don't get into it.
Now, being so important to metal, you've been able to do so many cool collaborations, Max. You love a collaboration. Over the years, from Sean Lennon to Dave Grohl to Corey Taylor to Fred Durst, what's your favorite collaboration you've done? Have you got anything? Do you not want to touch on that?
Yeah, that stuff, they're all really fun and cool in their own way, and I'm still enjoying them through the years. But I think some of the most fun ones, I had to pick probably Sean Lennon was probably one of the coolest ones because he was here for a whole week.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did that happen?
We were flying to Australia to do a big festival, and I ended up sitting across to him on the airplane. So we ended up chatting on the whole flight. We ended up just like, became neighbors. And he was hugely big fan of Sepultura and Brazilian music.
Really? That's so cool.
So he knew Sepultura and he knew a lot of Brazilian music, So we started talking about that. And when we got to Australia, our dressing rooms are next to each other. So I think it was like the universe is giving me a hint. I should work with this guy.
Why are you on a festival with Sean Lennon? I mean, come on, you can't get poles apart, right?
Yeah. I mean, those are some of the Australian festivals. I mean, we did something in Japan. I think it was like with Beyonce.
Oh, typical.
That was one, mate. I'm not making this up. It was Sepultura, Alanis Morissette, Rage Against the Machine. And we had to go talk to Alanis Morissette people. Like, you should switch her.
Yeah.
Before.
You'll lose the crowd.
She does not belong in this Sepultura Rage Against the Machine sandwich. It's not good for her, man.
That's
so
hilarious.
They moved her. So she played before us, and it was better for everybody.
I'm sure.
But yeah, sometimes that just happens. And so yeah, I ended up inviting him to be on the record, and it was so cool because he came here and first he didn't want to stay in a hotel. Like, I'd rather stay in your house and hang out with you if you did at school. It's like, all right, it's
a bit presumptuous, wasn't it?
He wants. I think if you can keep up with the kids, like you can have my bedroom. Like, I sleep with the wife in the sofa in the living room.
Sean Lennon.
And we did that, and it was cool. And he even signed our wall. There's a signature in our wall that he made a little alien face and stuff. But it was cool, man. It was pure magic. The song itself, I think, is really cool. His riff is a really rock riff.
Yeah.
Very Beatles kind of riff. And then my stuff is very metal. And I think Sun Song was an incredible, cool song it was a cool moment. And to me, it was a bit surreal. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but my wife was, and my mother was. So for both of my wife and my mother they were like,
you did it for them.
They were like incredibly like out of their minds that this is happening. And there was even something funny that happened. We went to see Kiss. Kiss was playing here, and we went with Sean. And when we arrived, we had guests. We got backstage passes. And the minute we arrived, the whole Kiss people freaked out. They gotta meet Sean Lennon. I remember Paul Stanley running out of his dressing room to meet him. And it was like a real surreal kind of moment, I just came to see the show with Sean, and there's Paul Stanley running out of his dressing room to meet Sean Lennon. It was a bit surreal. It was kind of cool.
Amazing. Now, Max, I can't let you go without mentioning football. As a massive football fan, and with the World Cup on the horizon, what are your predictions for the World Cup, and why do you think England will win?
Oh, okay. We're going to go there, huh? Hey, I mean, that'll be awesome if you guys do it. Really, really. I mean, we get 66 was last time you guys won, right?
Of course. It's our turn now, right?
It's your turn. Yeah, it's been long enough. And Brazil already won 5 times, so we don't really need another one. I'll pull for England. And I also like Belgium. I don't lie. Every year, even last World Cup, they kicked Brazil out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actually mad. I was actually kind of like,
you're quite fair. I'm quite surprised. Brazil is so passionate about the football. You seem to be quite open. It's because you're a worldly figure.
Yeah. The one time I got real mad was that World Cup in Brazil when we got
Germany
beat down by Germany. Bad.
Oh wow! I remember that game. It's goal after goal.
I was watching with 2 German bus drivers, and I was in the middle. and I started like 1 goal, 2 goals. I went to the bathroom. I came back with another 2 goals, and they were not even celebrating anymore. They were just like,
fully embarrassed.
Cheers, another goal. Not going good for you. And I'm like, no, not.
Amazing.
And I got so mad, I wanted to burn my shirt.
I bet.
So I went outside the bus and I poured beer on my Brazilian shirt, and I'm trying to burn, and the shirt would not burn. I was getting super frustrated. Why doesn't this shirt burn? Burn, motherfucker, burn!
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So who will win the World Cup then? Just one. Give me one nation.
Okay.
Predictions right now. It's exclusive.
It'll be Brazil and England will win.
Oh, I like it. I like that, Max. I appreciate that. Thank you.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Well, Max, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the show, sir. Thanks so much to take the time to talk to me. Good luck with the album, and hope to see you on the road soon.
Thank you, man. Thanks for playing Soulfly, brother. Appreciate it, right?